Hello and welcome to Week in Review on Trust TV, where we take a look at some of the top stories that occurred in the past week. My name is Martia Umar. Thank you for joining. We'll start this one on a very sad note, where during the week, properties worth millions of naira were destroyed following a fire outbreak at the popular Singa market in Kano State. Although no life was lost, but eyewitnesses say electrical spark may have been the cause of the inferno. Firefighters and Good Samaritans successfully put out the raging fire.
We saw an electric spark. It looks like electrical problem. It's continue booming, it's continue going up. Later on, we decided to call the fire service. But before the fire service arrives, the fire has overwhelmed the place and it has destroyed virtually everything that is inside this place. But for now, as you can see, the fire service were able to put off the fire. I saw smoke when I was about to eat my breakfast. Then we saw fire going up. We decided to leave where we are to relocate to another place. But instead, the fire keeps on expanding. It keeps on expanding. And later, we decided to call the fire service. But even before the fire service arrives, the fire has destroyed the place.
The issue of stop and search has over the years remained controversial, as questions about what a search warrant is, the eligibility of police officers to search a citizen without a warrant, as well as whether or not a citizen can refuse to be searched by police officers. However, with insecurity on the rise in the country, many are becoming a bit more accommodating of the idea of stop and search as a safety measure. In this report, Noel Samson seeks to clarify the issue and underscores the need for all to be open to it as a necessary security measure, especially as Christmas approaches.
A security warrant is a court order that a magistrate or judge issues to authorize law enforcement officers to conduct a search of a person, location, or vehicle for evidence of a crime and to confiscate any evidence they find. Outside criminal cases, securing a warrant for searching a vehicle while in transit may not be possible, as law enforcement agents may be acting on a tip-off or carrying out routine checks as a safety tip. This has over time led to confrontations between officers and civilians. But this notwithstanding, many believe there must be a balance.
When the police officer feels a crime has been committed, so at that point, you either obtain a search warrant or to search the premises where a police officer feel there is a commission of a crime in that premises or area or within the vicinity. So at that moment you obtain a search warrant. But there are other crimes that a police officer doesn't need a search warrant by a police officer. But the law says that a male should search a male, and a male police officer cannot search a female suspect.
The police and the FCT have meanwhile urged residents to cooperate with security personnel by giving out reliable information that could lead to arrest of any security breach or act of criminality. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now to judicial matter. A federal high court in Abuja during the week discontinued a suit filed by the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB Nnamdi Kanu, against Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ahmed Abubakar. Kanu had filed the suit through his special counsel, Aloy Ejimako, seeking, among other release, an order of the court directing the defendants to pay him the sum of 20 billion naira, being a general and exemplary damages. The suit, which was being held before Justice Inyang Eko, sought to challenge the manner Nnamdi Kanu was arrested in Kenya. And according to Ejimako, the suit was discontinued for strategic reasons that will be inappropriate and unprofessional to disclose publicly. Justice Inyang Eko had fixed a Friday, November 18 for the hearing of the matter. However, Kanu's counsel announced that the suit has been discontinued and it will be heard at a later date, that is indefinitely. And in Plateau State during the week, a 3-year-old Lydia Azachom, who got missing about a few weeks ago and was rescued from a dry well in Jos after 3 days of intense search, has been found dead after she disappeared again. She was earlier declared missing by her family on Thursday, October 27, after she disappeared while playing with other kids in the compound in Angwanyashi area of Tudunwada community in Jos North local government area of Plateau State. The report.
3-year-old Lydia came from Kwara State to Jos about a month ago with her mother and brother to visit her aunt who reside at Tudunwada. Her initial disappearance happened when she was playing outdoors with her brother and cousins who were on midterm break when she vanished into the thin air. While the community was yet to recover from the shock of her first disappearance, she again disappeared after a week and a few days. But this time, she wasn't found alive. Lydia's mother, Hannah, said she is still in shock over the incident, adding that before her daughter's disappearance, the second time, they shared happy moments together.
It happened on Thursday. I got back from work around after 5. So when I got inside, I met my daughter here with her siblings. They were playing. When she saw me, she was so excited and she hugged me. I carried her and she was checking all over my body and saying, "Mommy, are you okay?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Do you miss me?" I said, "Yes." Then I dropped her. We went to our own room.
What happened, honestly, we felt bad. To a young lady like this, we miss her. Just 3 years, baby girl. When she fell down inside the well, we all confused in this compound. All of us contemplate, is it somebody that threw her inside? Or she's just walking, she fell down, we don't know.
This is the second time. The first one is almost 1 week. Then the Conan for the second time. The other one is outside the compound. That is well, the neighboring house there. And the second one that she's late now. The small girl of 3 years inside the compound. This one that happened that she's late now is inside the compound there. So my suggestion or advice. This is not an honorary something. My advice within people that they reside inside the compound is such they safe inside the compound.
Meanwhile, most people in the community believe there is something odd about the incident, pointing out that there is every need for proper investigation to unravel the mystery.
You're watching Weekend Review on Trust Television. More stories after this break. Do stay with us. You're welcome back and thank you for staying with us. You are still watching Weekend Review on Trust Television. And still in the news, the Senate has resolved to provide legislative support for the policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to redesign some of the Naira notes. The upper chamber made this resolution after a heated debate on the motion moved by Senator Obasani on CBN's policy.
The Central Bank of Nigeria had in October announced a new policy to redesign the 1,000, 500 and 200 Naira denominations. As the Senate resumed plenary this Wednesday after a 4-week recess, the issue of Naira note redesign was brought forward for debate. Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, Senator Obasani, moved the motion for the debate.
In recent years, the bank has recorded a consistent rise in incidences of counterfeiting of the Naira, with 500 and 1,000 denomination banknotes most attacked. The threat to counterfeiting of the two denominations is a function of a large margin between cost of counterfeiting and gains derivable from the criminal act.
Majority of the senators across party lines supported the policy, but however called for an extension of the deadline in order to ensure that more people comply. Senate also suggests that the CBN governor governing Emefiele appears before it to shed more light on the policy.
1 month and a half is extremely short for what we are about to do. Because if you withdraw 1 trillion from this economy at once in a month, the ripple effect will affect everybody.
In matters like this, you don't need to flog it and over-publicize it. Those who have decided to do this between the Mr. President and the CBN government, they know why they are doing this thing. Let us leave them alone.
Other lawmakers, however, have contrary opinions.
If the CBN had wanted our support, we are major stakeholders in the economy of this country. One would have expected that there would have been proper consultation, even though it is our exclusive preserve to do what they are doing.
Deputy Senate President Oviomo Agege, who presided over Wednesday's plenary, agreed with the CBN policy of redesigning the Naira.
It is within the exclusive preserve of the CBN board on the based on the recommendation of Mr. President and the approval of Mr. President to carry out this redesigning, the form and the marks is within their exclusive preserve. And this also applies to timing.
The new Naira notes are expected to be launched on the 15th of December 2022, while the deadline for the old note is January 31st, 2023.
And meanwhile, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdurrashid Bawa, says the number of governors who are on the watch for money laundering have increased from the initial 3 being tracked. And the FCT chairman revealed this on Thursday while briefing newsmen at State House Abuja after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. The anti-corruption chief would, however, not confirm the exact number of governors, despite speculations that they were now up to about 8 in number. Kehinde Amodu completes this report.
The redesign of the Naira has had a huge impact on economic activities, as it has stirred up intense efforts to legally return stashed funds to the financial system. The EFCC has also embarked on sting operations to root out monies illegally kept outside the system, and has in these raids recovered huge amounts of money.
We are happy with this Naira redesign in the sense that it will give central bank an opportunity of going back to square one. By the time they collect all these monies back to their system, then they are going to control the monies that they are going to release to the system. And then, of course, once the monies are back within the financial institution, it will help to further boost, economic activities in the sense that there will be more money for people to borrow. You understand? And then we, on our own part, will have the avenue of monitoring what are we doing with all these huge resources that are out there before that are now within the financial, institution.
Bawa also explained the reason why he feels the Naira redesign policy will cause the Naira to appreciate significantly, noting that it is not based on expert economic analysis.
But from what we are seeing these days, the dollar is up at 90 and then it is down 690. What happened? Is it that we have all of a sudden within 10 days carried out some, certain, miraculous economic activities to warrant, the crashing of the USD, and then we just realize that it's just about speculation. Majority of these, transactions on USDs that is happening, on the streets and among individuals are not for any economic reality. They are just using it as a means to store value.
And yes, governors are being monitored, but the EFCC boss will not be cajoled to indicate how many are on the radar.
The governors that we are monitoring, in fact, the numbers have even increased. We are monitoring everything. Nigerians are helping. Well, I don't want to give you the figures so that you will not go and speculate whether they are in the north or they are in the south.
Meanwhile, the FCT chairman has explained the issues that led to the judgment, holding his office in contempt, noting that the case has been settled amicably.
And in June of this year, the car was released. We have started the process of releasing the funds when we got the judgment, which of course we are all surprised about, but we are able to go back to the court, and the court have seen reason to us and has completely reversed that earlier decision.
The anti-corruption battle has progressed in leaps and bounds, with EFCC recording 3,228 convictions in court as at the 4th of November this year. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Ecological Fund have expressed anger with the management of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, over its alleged selected distribution of 12,000 metric tons of grain as relief for flood victims. The lawmakers queried the mode of distribution on the grounds that not all the states affected by the recent flood benefited from the relief materials. The report.
A visible angry Joseph Oguma, who later stormed out of the committee when he raised objections to claim by NEMA that the state houses of assembly members were involved in distribution of the relief materials. He stated that 14 members of his state assembly have not been sworn in to date, wondering who NEMA had dealings with. Chairman of the committee, Ishaka Ibrahim, also berated NEMA for its non-performance, threatening to rescind the support it's getting from the National Assembly.
There is a very serious communication gap, and that is why we are having this issue. You can see that even your director is not able to explain or distinguish between senators, House of Representatives, and House of Assembly. Nobody is going to ask to appropriate what the president approved or your function to go and do in the states.
I move a motion concerning my federal constituency, and that is the only way they communicate to you. I don't have any personal relationship with you. I don't have to ask you for anything because I don't need anything from you. But my people, they are part of Nigeria. And I want to put it to you that you people were not appointed to be partial. You swore an oath before you take your office.
In his submission, the Director General of NEMA informed the committee of the agency's prompt response to save lives of Nigerians and safeguard their livelihoods.
So we're talking of handling disaster in all its ramifications. This same ecological that we are talking about that we receive, you mentioned it that states receive it, local government receives it. Disaster has a triple response. It's like a federal government. It hits a local government, or it hits a community. The first responder is supposed to be the local emergency management committee. The second responder is the state. It's only when the capacity of the state is exceeded. That's when you call on the federal government.
According to reports, a total of 181,600 houses were partially damaged, 123,807 houses totally damaged, 176,852 hectares of farmland partially destroyed, 392,300 hectares of farmland were totally destroyed as a result of the flooding this year.
And during the week, the Minister of Education, Adamu, is insisting that the lecturers will not be paid for the period they were on strike, as federal government cannot breach its no work, no pay policy. He spoke to newsmen at State House Abuja on the protest by the Academic Staff Union of Universities as over pro rata payment of the October salary of lecturers. The minister spoke after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council, FEC, during which the cabinet approved the contract for the printing of sensitive and necessary materials for the National Examinations Council in the sum of over 5.1 billion naira. Kehinde Amodu has more.
Lecturers in a couple of universities have embarked on protests against the pro-rata payment of October salaries, alleging that the decision by government was employed to make them casual workers. The minister says this is not so.
How can anybody make a university lecturer or a casual? Do you know the meaning of casual worker? But if you know the meaning of a casual worker, it is impossible to make a university lecturer a casual worker.
But insists that the position of the federal government has not changed.
That's the position of the government, that it is not going to pay anyone for work not done. And they only did, I think, the number of days that they were paid.
The back and forth between the minister and ASU shows there's still some disquiet in the education sector at the tertiary level. At lower levels, however, business continues as usual, with the cabinet approving 3 contracts for the education ministry, including the printing of sensitive and necessary materials for the National Examinations Council, NECO. Meanwhile, the cabinet also approved on Wednesday the contract for the procurement of operational vehicles for the Federal Road Safety Commission to the sum of 2.5 billion naira. This week's Federal Executive Council was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the first after his 2-week medical leave in London. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, says he is not in support of the clamor for state police, as it will be used by state executives to harass and intimidate their political opponents. Kwankwaso, who was responding to an inquiry on his views regarding the restructuring debate at a town hall engagement organized by the Northern Broadcast Media Owners Association in Abuja, however, says that it will create forest and border guards to tackle insecurity and proliferation of arms if elected president. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman was there and he filed on this report.
The NNPP presidential candidate, who took time to explain his plans on addressing the contemporary and existential challenges plaguing the northern region, narrates harrowing experiences in the hands of his successor, expressing worries that if created, state police will be abused by the state executives.
Dama shine babban aikin gwamnati, duk wata gwamnatin kirki aikin ta kenan ba a Najeriya ba.
Providing security is major responsibility of every government. Therefore, we will utilize our military personnel to secure our forests, like the Birnin Gwari and Sambisa.
While unveiling some of the strategies he intends to use to tackle the ravaging insecurity in the region, Kwankwaso says the nation's armed forces, as last line of defense, must be free to face their core responsibility and allow civil authorities to take care of internal security.
Peace and security is paramount. No development will be achieved without peace. Our security forces are grossly inadequate. We don't have up to 250,000 so far.
The NNPP presidential candidate reaffirmed his commitment to addressing the rot in the education sector, which he described as foundation to resetting the nation and addressing its challenges.
Once we assume leadership, no child in Nigeria will have to buy form for sitting in any examination of any kind.
He reiterated commitment to creating an enabling environment for agriculture to thrive through adequate incentives, just as he rolls out plans for youth and women empowerment, amongst others. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And still on political matters, the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, says he would not allow the country to sink under his watch if elected president in 2023. Tinubu stated this at the official flag-off of the APC presidential campaign held at Ruampam Township Stadium, Jos, the Plateau State capital, during the week. The report.
The APC presidential candidate, while addressing party faithful, noted that prior to the 2015 election, the country was challenged in the areas of insecurity, poor economy, and lack of infrastructure for the teeming Nigerians, saying with the coming of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015, he was able to renew hope for the country by bringing it back on track. According to Tinubu, he will build on the foundation laid by Buhari by improving security, infrastructures, oil exploration in the northeast, and opening of Lake Chad for agriculture and economic opportunities, adding that women and youth would no longer be neglected. Job opportunities would be created for all to ensuring improved security in the country.
They knew that your life dedicated to the job was going to be taken, but Allah, who gave you the power, says you will be okay, Nigeria will be well, and our hope will renew again.
On his part, the APC national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adamu, said Nigeria should no longer trust the PDP because of their provocative utterances that were hitting the polity. The chairman called on Nigerians to reflect on the performance of Tinubu and his running mate, Kashim Shettima, while as governors in Lagos and Borno respectively, adding that they will replicate the achievements across Nigeria.
Our party, a newcomer as it dislodged PDP from House of Rock after 16 years and 3 presidents. It points to the inevitable fact that incumbency has its place, that the right of a party to remain in office is not carved in stone. The incumbency confers no permanent advantage. It will not save us if we fail to work hard and do those things we ought to do to win the House and support the Nigerian electorate.
The event attracted party faithful from across the country.
And with that, we have come to the end of Week in Review for this week. For more reviews, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and connect with us across all our social media platforms. I am Martiya Umar. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.